Hello, this is a video series I've put together. It's about my words and one with a stealth Muslim, and I call this video series a stealth Muslim in action. And I want to tell you, the guy proclaims to be Irish, says he's a Buddhist. Apparently that's the line, because I've met other stealth Muslims who claim to be good Buddhists, and yet, or progressive liberals, and then they desperately end up defending the Qur'an. And that's what this guy does here. Tries to. What happened here is that this thing between me and him goes back further than what I'm doing for this series. But I thought, oh, what the heck? I think I'll start putting it together here for this thing, because now he knows more about me and I know more about him. And I thought I would have it became like a script. I thought, well, hey, I'll write it and I'll show you and see what you think, if this guy is a stealth Muslim or not. I want to tell you about stealth Muslims. As I said, they go on the internet, they say they're not Muslim, and yet they desperately try to defend Islam and call you a liar, or they used to call you a racist, but now people are starting to catch on that anyone can become a Muslim, so they think they're kind of cool on it. I'm not calling you racist anymore, or hater. They'll just try to say, you're misinterpreting the Qur'an, or you're misinterpreting Islam. If you really knew the original Arabic, you'd know that when it says that sperm is formed between the ribs and backbone, it really means formed in the testicles. But they don't want to, or something crazy like that. But anyway, I am going to read his words this way, with this side of my face, and I'll read his words with this one. And since he's supposed to be Irish, I'm not going to do my original mock Arabic voice or Muslim voice. I'm going to do it with an Irish accent, okay? So anyway, here it continues here. All right. And use them to enslave mass groups of people to their ideology, then try to force that ideology on governments, as the various Christian factions attempt to push in the US, or the Muslims in the Middle East, the Jews in the US and Israel. But there is nothing wrong with the Qur'an, true? You have no problem with the scriptures I posted and believe Qur'an 4:24 means a slave woman can have two husbands. True? And he's trying to say it's... He never says it, but it sounds like he's trying to get me to think that a slave woman who's not a Muslim can have two husbands. Her husband and the one that has her as his right hand as his right hand possessed. In other words, a slave. And then he says, Anne Barnhart is held up to the pinnacle as the epitome of Christianity. Really? I didn't know that. When she clearly has no clue as to what Christ taught or intended for his followers. And what did Christ teach or intend for his followers? Certainly not what certainly not that he was to die on the cross the way the Injil describes, true? This is what is wrong with religion. This is what is wrong with religion. When religion becomes a political entity, unless it's Sharia law, where those who are not Muslim are to pay a tax to keep from being killed after forbidden months have passed, Qur'an 9:1-5, that's a good political entity, true? I have my own spirituality. Oh, I bet you do. Which I am not in the mood to debate. Which I'm not in the mood to debate its validity with you about. So I will simply say I'm a spiritual person. Like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. At this time I thought he was African American. I didn't know that he was supposed to be Irish. Sorry, like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. My spirituality is my own, and my wife does not share it, and my children may choose to follow a similar path. No honor killing from you if they become westernized, true? But I leave it up to them to find their own path to the Spirit. May you be telling the truth, with no takia here. As my parents did for me, which I am eternally grateful. That's good. Now, as to Islam and its endorsement of slavery, I wager this idea is lost on you. But here it is anyway. In the Bible, there are plenty of endorsements of slavery, yet the scripture endorsing it is considered archaic and not relevant to modern society, as I'm sure Islam considers references to slavery and other outdated notions contained therein as well. So, Qur'an 4:24 is no longer to be followed? What if it is when Sharia is imposed? Then what? I respect the discipline I find common amongst Muslims, which is I know a few Muslims who drink. I know a few Muslims who drink, and those that do barely consider themselves Muslim. Of the many Muslims I know, I bet there's a lot. Of the many Muslims I know, I don't know any that smoke or use drugs. There's nothing wrong about smoking in the Qur'an, nor the Hadith. And in some places of the Hadith, there is nothing wrong with drinking alcohol. As a matter of fact, in Jannah, you can drink and not get a hangover. The same devotion I have seen completely. The same devotion I have seen completely lacking in Christians. Christians are fantastic at cherry picking from the Bible what they will. Haven't communicated with many Muslims, I see. Jesus said, give unto God what is God's, and unto Caesar what is Caesar's, for instance. And I have met Christians who admirably try to make it apply to a separation of church and state, when the statement taken in context says no such thing. What do you suggest? A zakat tax created by the state? All it was in Jesus telling his followers how unimportant it is to him or to God, whether or not one pays his bills or taxes. Yet Christians take that simple and blow it up to mean more than it ever really did. Much the same as you seem to be doing with this fragment of scripture you continue to refer to. Yeah, referring to Qur'an 4:24. Of course, I refer to it a lot, but he wants to focus on this for some reason. So, I thought Qur'an 4:34 was pretty. There's a lot of others, but he wants to try to get me on this one, so he keeps on going with it. All right, and I must admit, it's evil. So hey, let him keep on going. All he does is allow me to expose it more and more. So anyway, and I say, so what do you suggest? A zakat tax created by the state? Is that what you suggest? All of it. All of it was Jesus telling his followers how unimportant it is to him or to God, whether or not one pays his bills or taxes. Yet Christians take that simple and blow it up to mean far more than it ever really did. Much the same as you seem to be doing with that. Yeah. Because I read this, And I say, in other words, ignore the significance, right? Don't believe what it refers. Don't believe what it infers. Slavery is okay, and sex with married slaves, even if they're married, is okay. Because if we don't ignore it, then what? African American complaint for the time the U.S. had slavery might fade if we believe the Qur'an to be true. That's it, isn't it? If you truly want an accurate interpretation of that scripture, you could ask a layman with a strong sense of reason and objectivity. Like I don't have that. And you will hear that this scripture sounds as if it refers to adultery. If he wants to do that taqiyya route. Or you could take it to a Muslim scholar. Perhaps an imam at a mosque might be a good source, and he can share with you the result of centuries of speculation and introspection within his faith of what that scripture is intended to mean. Proving that the, quote, clear signs handed down, that is the Qur'an, is wrong when it says it's clear, true? Instead you make a preconceived judgment of what the Qur'an contains. Looks like I have many others who believe like me. The thing I sent to you, I didn't know it existed on the net until minutes before I sent it to you. And use that as a pretext to what the scriptures you read really refer to. And I'm wrong because, well, how do you know? How do you know you aren't doing what you accuse me of? How do you know? I prefer to focus on actions and what is going on in the real world instead of theoretical theology. So you believe that 9/11 happened not because Muslims were trying to obey Quran 9:111 about killing and being killed in the cause of Allah, but because it just happened with no theoretical theology behind it? Is that what you're saying? True? All right, sir. It is clear. It is clear. It is clear. You will still. All right, sir. It is clear you will steer any conversation in the direction you choose to. Is that funny? He's accusing me exactly what he's doing. Okay, but I say, how? How is the one asking questions that aren't answered? You certainly interject your own comments between. You could certainly interject your own comments between my sentence like I do with yours. Why don't you? Instead of addressing the issue, you claim that Islam condones slavery, but by citing one passage that seems clearly referring to marriage and nothing to do with slavery whatsoever. Lady doesn't realize that I'm going to show eventually that it has nothing to do with marriage at all. And if you think it removes African American gripe, the time it has to deal with slavery, it really does. I mean, it is just. But I just want to keep them talking, give them the rope here. So anyway, he says it has nothing to do with slavery. It's all about referring to marriage. So I say this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nothing to do with slavery whatsoever. May all Muslims on the planet see it as you claim. That way African American complaint can remain. Though I haven't read the surrounding passages that may indicate it refers to slavery. Right. And yet he's defending it. If that's true, why is he going on and on trying to defend it? You know what I mean? But anyway, then I say this. I bet you think that Mo says the sun asked permission to rise again. Oh, I bet you think that when Mo says the sun, quote, asked permission to rise again, or that the Quran says sperm is formed between the ribs and backbone, not testicles. It's not proof that Muhammad was just saying things off the top of his head and the Quran to be a bunch of crap, true? That the Quran is still holy, true? Anyway, I'll continue this here. Bye.